Coach Bill Cherpak, and we're just rolling through our rainy day as they're getting ready for a championship game Saturday that'll be heard on KDK Power of Bowser against McKeesport. So is this young man spellbounding? Kimon Spell could be the best you've seen in a long time.
We've played a lot of good running backs, and he is at the very top. I mean, he's amazing.
Listen, first off, I shook Mike White's hand. We were at a function last night, and I just can't thank the Post-Gazette enough. This is what makes it all possible. And Mike White, the guy who really started it all. And I've been so happy to promote high school sports, but now just such a fan of what KDKA is doing. And we've got a big weekend planned. Of course, Pine Richland, Bethel Park Friday, semifinal action. They kick it off championship Saturday against McKeesport and then NA and Central Catholic. I am headed to Central Catholic in just a little bit. So what makes these two young men, Eber and this Spell? I mean, they're sophomores.
Right.
How is that possible?
Two totally different running backs. Spell's the highly touted, going to Penn State guy that everybody knew about coming into the season. Knew that he was a superstar, whereas Tyler, he had never played varsity before. He's still growing into the position.
His durability.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He really has been. 42 carries the other night.
Listen, you know how much respect I have for you. I didn't realize this is your 30th season?
Yes.
Coach,
yeah.
Where did time go?
It flies, man, I know. And sometimes it seems like it's my 50th year. Sometimes it seems like,
but you're in the best physical condition you've been in.
I feel good. I feel as good as I have ever been. And I'm in as good a shape as when I was in high school and college. So I feel good and things are going well. And, it's been an enjoyable year thus far and just trying to keep it going.
So how many pings, text messages do you get before championship game? Oh,
well,
this place is, there's the electricity here, man. Yeah, everybody's involved.
Hundreds. I would say after the game on Friday, I don't take my phone with me, so I never have it on game day, and I don't put it back on until probably when we get back after the game. I probably had a couple hundred.
Well, last night, as I was headed home from an event, he and I were exchanging text messages. He was on the treadmill. You got to get nervous just like you did when you were a player. Come on. This is a big deal.
It is, and it's fun. And I'm excited for the kids because we have so many kids who have never experienced this before. And it's just an enjoyable and exciting time for them and everybody involved.
All right. So Eber averaging, 26 carries a game, 1,785 yards. Your line has done an incredible job. You're relying on your running game. But he's not doing what he's doing unless those guys are doing what they're doing.
Exactly. They complement each other. And a big part of it that most people don't talk about is our fullback, Trent Miller.
Talk about him.
Every carry that Tyler has, Trent's in front of him leading the way. And so you're thinking about, a kid that's blocking up on the linebacker 47 times a game when Tyler has 47 carries or, just put that into perspective, So Trent has been invaluable. He's been unbelievable all year. He's stayed healthy. Another big part of being in the playoffs and being successful is staying healthy, and we've been able to do it, and it's been a great ride so far.
Listen, so Matt played at McKeesport, the great George Smith, who we both have such admiration for. 2 times he's been to the championship game, WPL, they've lost. His son now is playing linebacker with him.
He is.
Short distance between the two schools, a lot of similarities, great, rich history when it comes to football.
It is. And, we've played them. They've been in our conference the last 4 or 6 years. I can't remember how many. We've played them every year. We have a great rivalry, friendly rivalry in terms of we respect them. They respect us. He does such a great job there. Doesn't get the credit he deserves there. But, to keep that going all the years that they have, after Coach Smith and that, it's an amazing job.
I'm just looking over some of this stuff from the Post-Gazette. McKeesport, you really wonder how their record was what it was with the talent, because it's more than just Spell. You've got Cromartie. I mean, they got some players.
Boyd and Cromartie. But the crazy thing is, if you look at 3 of their losses, it was to us, Upper St. Clair and Peters Township. 2 of the top 4 teams in 5A and the top-ranked team in 3A, or I'm sorry, 5 and 4. So, I look at them and I say, this is a team that could very well be undefeated. We beat them in overtime. But they get better as the season goes along, and they're, a much different team than the first time we played them, as are we. But, they've been on a roll. They've won, I think, 7 in a row. So it's going to be a great challenge. An exciting high school football game.
Listen, I got to bring it up because it's Pitt. You know, they're taking on Clemson this weekend. Their quarterback's banged up. Let's talk about Marino for just a minute because I'm going to Central Catholic.
Okay.
Do you think in our lifetime ever we'll see that kind of talent? Because, you know, he too was a young man who was playing varsity football at Central Catholic.
I don't think people realize how good he was because so few people got to see him. There was no internet. There was no, it was just, it really wasn't even any kind of, news coverage. It wasn't anything what it is now. Nowadays, he would be the highest of the highest 5 stars. He would be, the number 1 player in the country. He would be, coming out of high school and just didn't have that background.
Dare I say this, Coach? Would he have ended up at Pitt?
With his ties, I believe so. That was his. The crazy thing now is with the money. That changes everything too. These kids.
You realize you said something that was an epiphany to me, and I've told everybody since we were together. They don't recruit anymore.
No, the recruiting is secondary. It's all about the kids want paid, and with transfer portal, NIL, it has changed the face of college sports. They're not even amateurs anymore. It's just
You think it'll trickle down and start affecting high school football?
I don't think. I really don't. Because the thing that it is it's that group of elite players that are taking everything that is, it's become a smaller, more elite group of guys that have the opportunity. Whereas in the past, some schools will recruit guys and say, hey, we'll develop them, we'll take a chance on them. Now they don't do that. They'll just take a guy out of the portal, or they just want instant satisfaction. If they're paying a guy, they want something in return.
The hardest working people in these wonderful school districts are the grounds crew people, those in the janitorial aspect of these schools. They got a bit of a roof leak here, and my man Craig let me in. They're working hard, doing stuff. The reason I bring it up, we're coming here in the elevator, and I said, this guy, and I'm saying this with you here, and you know how I feel. I said, this is a once in a lifetime. They're going to be talking about this guy long after I'm on this earth. So here's the question. I saw also in the paper that you said, I don't want to be one of these coaches at 70 still coaching. What do you think? What are we going to do when we don't do what we do? What do you see? You said you like to do other things. What do you like to do?
I like to travel. I like to play golf. I do a lot of different things, a lot of different interests. I love, we actually had an open week this week, but I love going to watch other high school football games.
Do you really?
Or college football games, just I would love to travel and go see a different college football game every year. I would love to travel and go see big events. I'm not in the professional sports much. That really isn't my thing, but college sports, high school sports, I enjoy watching them. And
so say if somebody came to you, because, John Banaszak started a broadcasting career with me. I start everybody off. They become legends in the booth. All these guys. I was telling Colin Dunlap, who many years for the Post-Gazette, Ed Bouchette, first time on the radio. These guys made my career. Bob Dvorak, Ron Cook. We would just be here all day. People in the print media. Could you see yourself if somebody said, you know what, Chirp? We carry the pack games, okay, every Saturday. Would you work the booth with it? Would you? Because you've never really been one to put yourself out front. But would you like to maybe transition into broadcasting? Maybe
not really.
No.
I just enjoy it.
You just like going leaning up against the fence, but it could be Robert Morris, Duke Kane.
Like Pitt. Now, I get we have kids that play W&J. I'll go watch the game by myself, just stand in the end zone, against the fence, and just watch the game. Or even if I go to a Pitt game or any of the games I go to, I just watch the game, enjoy it. A couple years ago when we lost earlier in the playoffs, I went down to Florida to relax for a little bit, and we went to 2 high school games in Florida just to watch some high school football.
Before we wrap up with the game, Bill Cherpak, of course, the game noon, we have a championship 4A on KDK Power of Bowser, Jan Grilly and company, and of course, then we have Central Catholic and NA. I'm going to be headed to Central Catholic later today, Coach Ryan Lehmeyer. Florida football different than Western Pennsylvania? You hear all this stuff. What's the difference?
It's a much more speed-oriented game.
Fast.
Everything's fast. And not that they don't have good linemen, but it's not everything's about your skill players down there, and you outscore people. You don't see games that are, 17-10, 21-7 or 14-7. It's all 48-43, 45-38. Like it's just outscoring everybody, and just a different game. It just is.
All right, I have to ask because I'm all about Pitt, and I wonder how these athletes get away from us. But it is what it is. So your players were so respectful to me the last week I was here, and you guys were having practice. How are you? Nice to meet you. Blah 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 blah. We're talking, and I said, "This Eber kid." I said, "Where is he?" I said, "That's him. The guy's racking up who carried the ball 40 plus times." I said, "What's he weigh? About 107?" And they said, "Yeah, on a good day." Do you think he's got the skill set to maybe play at that level?
The thing for Tyler is, he hasn't grown yet. He hasn't matured and grown yet.
How big is his dad?
His dad's probably 5'11". He's not a real big guy, but and his mom's a fitness instructor, so they do. And he'll gain weight. He'll get bigger. I expect him probably to be 185 pounds next year or somewhere around there. He's a worker. He's in the weight room. He wrestles. He's just a great kid and a great high school football player. And you need those kids.
All right, look, the senior quarterback, Luke. We got to give him some love. This whole team, I'd like to go through this whole roster because it's much more than just that running back. And he talked about Trent Miller a little while ago, but talk about your quarterback.
Well, Luke, as a first-year full-time starter, he rotated last year with a senior that we had that was returning, and he's really taken it on as his own this year. He understands what we do, and he has bought into it and does it well. We're a running team that throws the ball. And we run a lot of play action passes. We run a lot of drop back timing passes, and he has perfected those. He's become really, really good at those. And he manages the game well in what we want to do. Friday night when we had a big lead, he calls a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage. He knew we wanted to, bleed the clock a little bit. So get some good runs in. And he's just become a leader and become, the guy on the field that we need to run everything. And he distributes the ball well.
So as much as it is about your offense, really defense is going to have to come up big.
Oh, I mean, with Boyd, Cromartie, and Spell, those are just three dynamic players that are, would be the superstar in any team. But for them, they have three of them, and they distribute the ball almost evenly with the option that they run. So it's really difficult assignment football.
What's that mean, Coach?
That means if I have the dive, I have to take the dive. I can't worry about if the quarterback's keeping it or it's going outside, because if I don't take the dive, they're going to break it. And it's every play. That's what's hard, is you can't get caught as a defender looking for the ball. You have to understand what your job is.
And that's what you got to stick to.
That's what you have to do.
Don't try to ad lib.
Exactly. And so it's difficult for high school kids. It really is.
Yeah, because they see that opportunity, to make that splash play.
Yep. And so,
but it can drown you quickly.
They have the guys that can take it 80 yards at any point. So
how have you maintained being so doggone relevant? I mean, you've been doing this 30 years, and honestly, I think of you as one of the new guys, the young guys, like a Matt Miller. I mean, it's like,
it's been 30 years. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know.
When you used to look at guys your age then and think, man, like I'm coaching up against these guys.
Well, at the time, because I played for Coach Novak, and that was obviously one of my biggest coaching mentors ever.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
He was a Steel Valley?
He was a Steel Valley coach when I played.
Wow.
Coach Guerin, Coach Garrity, Coach Brett Schneider, they coach with me now. Coach Garrity has since passed, but, Coach Guerin and Coach Brett Schneider have always been with me coaching. Those are the guys that really I've looked up to and kind of developed my coaching after the things that they taught me as a player.
About Novak and all those guys, and Smith, we were talking about him. They were always so gracious to me. Still to this day, if I call them, like Ronnie Shiro, coached many years, we're going to meet him tomorrow at the Larry Bruno Foundation. You got to come down there sometime. You would absolutely eat it up. Been talking to Don Yanessa about some stuff. These are people from back in the day. Just as polite and as courteous, and love promoting high school sports. And
I'll tell you a good one here. Coach Brazo coached the defensive backs when I was in high school, and he's been coaching every year since.
How many years is this now?
He's got
50?
Man, yeah. He's in there, and they're in the semifinals Friday night. It's Steel Valley.
Listen, I can't thank you enough. You've been so gracious to me to let me come out here. And it's just, I love this part of Western Pennsylvania. Good people. This school district is unbelievable.
It is. It's a
paved
growing
parking
district.
lot now, looking great.
They're getting everything together. It really is. It's coming along, and we're one of the few districts that's still growing in the South Hills. So It's exciting.
It's been a good
time.
month for you, hasn't it?
It has. It's been a great month.
All right. The great Bill Cherpak. They don't come much better. McKeesport, high noon, KDKA. Later today, Ryan Laymeyer. We will be at Central Catholic in the shadow of the Cathedral of Learning. Let me tell you how you don't realize how everything's connected. I was there last year, and I'm just standing there waiting for him to come out. I look up, and there's the Cathedral of Learning.
Yeah.
Man, that was like spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in there.
What's it like in there? I've never been in there.
It's crazy. When you go to school there, you think to yourself, why do they use this old building? The elevators are awful. It's hot in there. There's no air conditioning. And then after you graduate and you kind of get the appreciation for, what it means. And
Were those great years for you, Coach?
Yeah, I loved it. Loved it. And
to play for your team that you
most
grew
of my
up.
best friends that I played football with are still my friends today, and I see them and talk to them all the time. And just a great part of your life. It develops you as a person.
Well, you've been a real big help to me, too. Bill Cherpak, the Jaguars getting ready to lock horns with the Tigers of McKeesport. Going to be an epic battle. You're going to hear it all again on KDK. So we're not editing today because I'm shooting the camera, doing everything myself. I'm just going to go around, push the button. He's going to take the mic off, and I'm going to be down the road.
There you go.
All right. And by the way, hail to Pitt.
Yes.